the heart and soul of our sport, where these players strive to become who they're truly meant to be.
No more break, it's time for action. Welcome to Overwatch Contenders.
Welcome back, y'all. Our second match of the day is coming up after a strong 3-0 from Peps. We get to watch one of the last chances for 04 Dash to really pick up a win. They're down. They don't have one yet. They're not out yet, though. Ataraxia stands up against them. They may not be able to qualify, but they still have a chance at Pride, Yerks.
Yeah, that's, I think, the big thing on the table here for 04 Dash. The big thing on the table for them right now is to make sure that they don't go out without a loss. So we'll have to see if they can pull that off. 04 Dash, though, it's first and last time probably we're going to be able to see them on the stream. We'll have to see what happens, but of course that's pretty much what it's looking like. Let's take a deeper dive into what this team looks like, who they are, and what they're capable of, which, interestingly, Dor, when you look at this roster, in my mind, this is a team far more capable than their record would imply. I mean, across the board, you're talking about top-level talent, you're talking about strategic masterminds as well. I mean, Zhao in particular has been behind a bunch of really high-performing EMEA teams, both as a player and as a coach as well. And of course, then you have really solid talent as a supporting cast. I mean, it's hard to believe that this team is without a win.
Yeah, they've got the team to get there. The question is, are they fading into the meta just right? Because Zhao can play across that tank line, but is solo tanking for this team. And looking at the strength of just teams in general in EU right now, it's just a dog-eat-dog world. It's a tough one to play, and 04 Dash has been unsuccessful, but like you said, not without a strong roster. Ataraxia, on the other hand, are offering up something just as interesting, and I think have been one of the more interesting teams compositionally, meta-wise, over the course of this entire thing. They're bringing Torb to the table. They're playing Orisa where they can, and they're backing it with incredible talent. I actually think in terms of being in form, I don't think there's a backline really that is putting on numbers outside of the normal, like Gala, not Lux. Yes, there are teams we expect to be higher. Yes, there are support lineups that I think are contending for that number 1, number 2 spot. But in terms of playing in form, playing above where we expect them to, Gala and Natlux have just been on a heater lately.
I think one of the biggest questions about this team for me here, Dor, is whether or not Pastor is going to be going back to the Torb. Because what we heard from him last week when we got to interview him after their series on Monday was that obviously he was coming back from a vacation to Italy. He was gone for 2 weeks and he came back and he's like, well, I can't aim, so I'm just going to play Torb. Now that he's had time to get back into the swing of things, are we going to be seeing a little bit of a switch up? Are we going to seeing, just some other picks coming out? Obviously, we know that Pastor can play a ton of different things, so I'm curious to see if a week is enough time for him to have built up that confidence again to be playing things outside of just the Torb. But the Torb is something I expect that they might still actually toy around with.
Yeah, it's also something that throws a wrench in the mix for a lot of teams that play into them, surprisingly. They can shift their playstyle either around it or just kind of leave it in as a sideboard kind of deal. And either way, the opposing team is forced to adapt. Something that I think on top of the entire task that 04 Dash already have ahead of them might just make things even more difficult in the grand scheme.
Yeah, and of course, Ataraxia on top of everything that we talked about. I mean, just how dynamic health can be, what this support line has been doing, the question about Pastor. Then on top of all of that, they also have the Swiss Army knife. Well, not necessarily Swiss, but you get the impression that we get that Ken has been a monster historically in EMEA, has really kind of defined, or rather helped to define, a ton of different rosters that he's been a part of, and has been a dynamic force that a lot of teams have struggled to contend with. And he's just another facet of what is a very, very dynamic roster, one that we would anticipate should be a really high performing team, but unfortunately for them, they've just had a couple of those kind of stumbles against, again, the top 4, top 5, top 6, whatever you want to call it at this stage, the upper echelon of EMEA. This is one of the most insanely talented, I mean, completely insane regions out there right now, and it's a testament to that a team like Ataraxia is as far down as they are.
Yeah, you say stumble, but they played Peps obscenely close last week. I mean, it was a back and forth match for the ages. It ended up 3-1, but that certainly didn't feel representative of how the game actually went. This one, though, we'll talk about scoreline in a sec. We're starting things off on Busan to open things up, something that I actually think 04 Dasher quite happy with in terms of map pick. Fairly neutral for them. Allows Chow to play a lot of his comfort picks. Let us know what you think you're comfortable with, though. Is today the day? Does 0-4 Dash get their win? How many of you are believers? And how many of you believe in the dominance that Ataraxia can offer up?
What I will say, Ataraxia probably has the most comfortable day of any team right now in terms of what kind of team they are and what kind of teams they're playing. I mean, you're talking about going from Pitbull Storm and to 0-4 Dash. That's team number 11 and team number 12 out of 12 in the standings back to back. Now, again, you still need to understand that the teams that are like 11th and 12th, honestly, in some other regions, might be top 8, like, without question. That's just kind of the situation that we're in with the EMEA right now. But Ataraxia, I think they had a great little first game that they had to deal with. 3-0, easy in and out. Now we transition into game number 2. Let's see what they can do here. 0-4 Dash, though, as we get started here. Going to be coming out Chow on the Ramatra. It's going to be Ataraxia, though, bringing out the dive. And guess what? The Torb's here.
Yeah, I don't think that's a particular surprise. It's been working for them. The onus is on 0-4 Dash to make the adaptations here. See if you could throw him for a loop with this Torb pick. Last week it played really well. Peps had a lot of trouble dealing with it, especially initially. And now the 0-4 Dash, no problems at all. Playing at distance, a boatload of poke here between the rockets and the arrows coming in. Each of those capable of dealing half a health bar of damage to those squishies. And with one of each of them combined, you put up picks like Natlock. You put up picks like Pastor.
That's just probably the best possible start that 0-4 Dash can get, because now they can go ahead and get forward, try to get some more, and that's exactly what they're going to do here, especially after stabilizing Loostar. This is just a fantastic opening for 0-4 Dash, and like I said, big question, is Pastor going to be sticking to the Torb, or are we going to see some, versatility come out? And that's exactly what we're going to get now. That's the Echo swap from Pastor. This is going to provide certainly a lot of help in dealing with multiple facets of 0-4 Dash's comp, but namely Goku as well.
Real help here. This is a nano boost that's just about available for Gala. Could be coming up any moment here, and that's the moment when Ataraxia want to strike, but what a shot! Goku hits them with the 1-2. Alley-oops with themselves in order to finish things off. Chow plays a little bit of hide-and-seek with that lock, but that one's done as quickly as you can start it. 0-4 Dash is really making this one hurt.
This is not looking good at all for Ataraxia, because the thing is that they're not really getting very much value out of these full wipes as well. I mean, you're seeing them slowly get closer to some ultimates, but without the ability to overpower 0-4 Dash, who haven't had to use anything, this becomes so much more difficult.
Yeah, Hell dives in, but I mean, this is a dive with no teeth to it, right? The nano boost wears off as he approaches Sukrax. Forced back to a mini pack. Now we're stranded, isolated away from our Ana. This is a nightmare. Hell barely gets the Primal Rage off, but getting it off might actually have been enough to save a lot of things here. Goku and Sukrax are gone, but Lukestar still hasn't been dealt with on the high ground. Helm is doing everything in his power to equalize this fight, but it is a one-man army against what is a solid front of 5 from 0-4 Dash.
Yeah, and at any point, Goku, Chow could come over and just go ahead and throw their ultimates into the mix as well. Just makes it that much more difficult. In fact, there it is. Man. Annihilation takes Gala out. Ataraxia, it just looks impossible at this stage.
Again, we are distinctly seeing far better coordination out of 0-4 Dash. Ataraxia have looked like 5 individual pieces. 0-4 Dash are putting up a strong, organized front. A lot of it's been pick-based, but I've got no problems with that. If the other team's got to walk through chokes, if we're playing a Busan, play to Busan's strengths. They're doing it well.
I mean, this past round, that composition was just so solid. I would say, in terms of compositional superiority, I would say 0-4 Dash oddly had a little bit under their belt for that first one. It's a solid composition. Obviously, you look to Goku to be able to pull things out on the Pharah. That's exactly what they got from him. Chow locked things down. Sukrax as well in the back line, just dishing out a ton of pressure himself. I mean, we're talking about 2.7k damage dealt. That is higher than almost everyone in the lobby. The only person higher than him, actually, is Chow. That's it. That's the only player that did more damage than the BAP on 0-4 Dash. So just speaks to what they've been able to accomplish with this composition, and I'm curious to see if they're going to get more of that here as they make a swap with the Widow and no match at all from Ataraxia. In fact, they're going to have to try to get up to Lukestar and apply that pressure if he goes to high ground.
We'll see. The comp's a little bit more difficult to play with the open sightlines that this map offers up. You can't just rely on Hanzo doing half a health bar of damage, Pharah doing half a health bar of damage. It's going to be much more individual kills from the DPS line of 04 Dash. But Goku? Oh, Sweat's broken. Dive onto Sucrax even yet isn't particularly successful as Pastor's definitely going to die, right? There we go. Pastor does eventually die, and with the res from Haku, it's like they've never even lost anybody.
This is just so tough for Ataraxia. It feels like they can't find anything to
There's
dive
no targets, yeah.
Exactly. I think that's the biggest problem here is, I mean, when you look at 04 Dash, what do you go for? I mean, do you really go for the BAP? Do you go for Luke Star? Luke Star is just going to grapple right on out of there, and then 04 Dash can pivot and really punish you. If you overextend, Goku's taking your life. Chao is eating up your backline. Sucrex is dealing that damage consistently to be a threat as well. I mean, this is actually a good swap, I think, from Ataraxia to go over to the D.Va and maybe just play more preventative here.
That's the thing, is normally it would be Sucrax. It would be that Baptiste, but they're struggling to pull the Immortality Field away before the dive. So when they do dive in, they're diving in while he's got Immortality Field up, and often they're paying the price right about now. Fortunately, it does look like they got that one off clean. The focusing team will take down both Immortality Field and the BAP.
Much better here. Finally, Ataraxia find an opening. In fact, the funny thing here is that it was with a composition that doesn't force those openings. They wait for one to actually come through, and finally it does. 04 Dash gonna have to be a little bit more cognizant of what has been a pretty stark contrast, I think, strategically for Ataraxia now versus what they were trying to do earlier on. But we did see them get early credit, and now they're going to have some ultimates generated up. Haku going to fall, though, already.
An early pick, Ataraxia this time, not struggling to find targets at all. Catching 04 Dash in transition, which is exactly what they want to do.
Yeah, this is perfect from Ataraxia. They're just waiting for 04 Dash to come forward, and then as soon as they get into a position where they can kind of drop in on top of them, that's where 04 Dash are going to have their problems. That's where they're going to have their struggles. This time around, Haku going to be a little bit harder to find in the opener. The Valkyrie makes that a lot more difficult, and aside from that, Annihilation, Amp Matrix, all these things make it difficult for Ataraxia to punish them. See if they can pull it off, though.
Amp Matrix from high ground, Ken gaps Luke Star. 04 Dash want to approach this because they're certainly not done with the fight yet. Resurrect after the space was made. They did have to pop Valkyrie in order to get that off. 04 Dasher spent a fair bit just on the approach here, but they make it worthwhile with a pick on Dagala. Dupe from Pastor, though, looks to equalize this Annihilation. They're here for a while, but the Annihilation does not get charged up. They do get the pick on Chao, though. Now 04 Dash left without direction. Have got to find picks without a tank available to them. They will find a point, but the kills don't rain in until later. Goku offers one up.
Yeah, it seems like 04 Dash have made some sense out of what's been approaching them, and maybe not for too much longer, because Haku, speaking of, just immediately gets obliterated, and yeah, it's going back and forth now.
This is ridiculous. Goku tries to save a defense matrix, almost gets it. But as the dust settles, it looks like 04 Dash the one's coming out ahead. Another pick on Nagala is going to be an even worse stagger here in the grand scheme of things. We're approaching final fight territory. Is this bomb gonna do anything? Oh my god, it does! We're not done yet.
I can't
what
believe
did I just
it.
witness?
Of all the people to find, too, it's the person that can bring back whoever gets picked. So Ataraxia just have that much longer to wait to get into this. I think the good news, I guess, is the fact that they will have Resurrect for the actual fight, because they didn't have to blow it to start one. But yeah, the timing does not bode well for Ataraxia coming back into this one, because remember, they're the ones that now need to extend forward to get some credit going.
Star dives into the back line. Ataraxia all peel back to try and prevent what was a Phenom pulse bomb. There was nothing there. But Ataraxia all go back into that small building, and they paid the price. They had a lot of health bar damage. They're able to trade it all back eventually with a couple pings and a Hail Mary pulse bomb. I think it's 2v2 on point now. Pastor and Helm versus Luke Star and Sucrax. Ataraxia getting the better of that trade initially, but with the implication matrix, 04 Dash should be able to flip this one back over. It's just Gala on the high ground here, getting pincered. Oh my god, it's desperate. A hold from Ataraxia. It's not to be as well. 04 Dash with a map 1 win. I mean, what can you say? What a ridiculous route it took to get there. Picks aplenty, scrappy fights, absurd dives, Sucrax living forever, the 2v2 finale on point. You're really getting it all with this one.
And the funny thing is that now 04 Dash have 5 map wins. 3 of those 5 maps have come in control, but none of them really have looked the way that we saw that one. And what I mean by that is that they looked good.
Yeah.
I mean, they looked like a team that could win the series.
I don't know. I know what they were eating for the past week, but it must have been something good. That was really promising. And I hate doing this at the start of series because you never know how it's going to go. Like you said, most of their map wins have come in control. We have to put the asterisk on it. But if that's how their control's looking, I'm feeling pretty optimistic about the way this series is going. At the very least, you expect more out of the series as we're guaranteed at least 4 should 04 Dash take it.
Yeah, I think at this stage, I think we would do well to mention where else 04 have had some successes, and the only other maps that they've been able to take outside of the controls that we've already talked about were 2 maps against Sheer Cold, and that was on Midtown and on Circuit. So we'll have to see if maybe either of those 2 maps come up. Maybe that could be something that they go for. Obviously, 04 Dash, they chose Midtown after losing Antarctic Peninsula in that series, but then they were taken to Circuit. So we'll have to see. I think as well, if we do manage to get, I mean, obviously we will get to a map number 3. Circuit could be an interesting approach here because with Health, I mean, there's a lot of different takes that we can see Ataraxia have, but I actually don't mind 04 Dash's chances on that map.
Oh, not one bit. Health has offered up a lot in the past, though. We expect this series to go, I think, pretty wide in terms of hero depth, in terms of hero pool, especially when you're talking about somebody who can play virtually everything, like Health can, brings a very dangerous Orisa to the table. But as we talk about that, the map pick's actually Numbani.
Yeah, going into a map number 2 now, Ataraxia, they're at the helm. They get the decision here. So yeah, going over to Numbani, I think does make a decent bit of sense if you're going to go ahead and try to probably pull Helve out, I would imagine, just actually go in for Shira instead. I think they might actually have a different approach for this one as we move, obviously, like you mentioned, into Numbani. We'll have to wait and see. Actually, I can just cheat right now. Yeah, Shira's right there. We can go ahead and cheat. We can see it right away. So yeah, that's going to be what Ataraxia is looking to do, it seems like. So this does make some sense here to be able to go into this, and we'll see which version of this map, or I guess which composition they want to go for, because if we do see them go into the D.Va, that can certainly be matched by 04 Dash. I mean, Chao is definitely solid on the D.Va. That's one of the things that he's most known for, I would say, actually. But of course, there's also, you know, everything in between that's on the table as well. You could go for Ramatra certain sections of the map. You could go for Winston, obviously, certain sections of the map. So we'll have to see what Ataraxia have in store for us.
Yeah, I mean, to see Shira at all, I think it's a little interesting. We've been spotting Health 90% of the time for this team. Shira's coming in, has a lot of things up their sleeve. They just usually decide to flex onto Helve's more off-meta picks like the Orisa in situations like this. But with the pick to Numbani, Shira, like you said, is the obvious choice for them. The question now is, can they match DPS wise? Because for 04 Dash, one of the big things was just their ability to poke out from long range, right? Whether it's an Ashe, a Hanzo, a Widowmaker being paired alongside that Pharah or the Echo, that's going to be a really powerful tool on the first point of this map. And I think, yes, obviously Ataraxia has some pretty strong poke tools. 04 Dash has been winning that battle outright so far.
Yeah, interestingly enough, too, because, I mean, we're talking about a DPS lineup that features Ken, who I think in this matchup has actually been pretty solid. I don't want to say that Ken has been falling short in any capacity. I mean, you could even look at the statistics. Even when they're dropping that first map, Ken still is a statistical solid performer. Even on things like the Tracer, which typically doesn't really have a whole host of solid, you know, stats in terms of the lobby. You don't typically have like crazy high damage. But that has been what Ken has been able to pull out regardless. So in spite of that, Luke Goku still able to contend pretty well, I would say, as they're up now against Ataraxia. We're going into Numbani map number 2 here. Shira gonna be pulling that D.Va out, but this is like, again, this is what we were talking about. I think with this approach, we expect the D.Va. We know that Shira is going to be the better D.Va, as you know, between the two of Shira and Helve, obviously, so it makes sense. But you are still, like I said, kind of playing into Chao a little bit there, right? I mean, D.Va is something that Chao is very much known for.
I think the the question for Ataraxia is, I don't think they're at a stage yet where they're trying to map counterpick 04 Dash, because at this point, there's probably not a map that 04 Dash haven't lost on. I mean, that's just the nature of having a map record of negative 23. Yeah, you play to your strengths. If this is what they think is going to get them win, if this is what they think they're comfortable on, if they need to shift things up in the tank line, I don't think there's anything wrong with it. But like you said, on paper, in theory, it shouldn't be too bad for 04 Dash either. Let's see how Chow steps up here. Shira.
The other thing, too, to look out for is going to be Goku versus Pastor as well. Pastor a little bit quieter in that last map, in map number 1. Goku certainly anything but. We'll have to see what they can do head-to-head this time around.
Already, it's Ataraxia on the back foot. Pastor, we're real low, but we're okay. We got away. They gave up a lot of space for that, though. Even if you don't get the pick, the point control's gone starkly the way of 04 Dash, who now have high ground control on top of that. Ataraxia, I don't think they're ready for the flank that's coming as well. The Tracer's going to be coming in from behind with all this. Yeah, you can see the Ana getting pressured out in the corner of your screen there. Gala under pressure. Shira can't get picked up because the Ana's turned the other way. This is a nightmare. Ataraxia didn't lose a single player, and 04 Dash capped the point. What a positional masterclass.
I mean, nobody died. Not a soul died. That is insane. But nonetheless, now finally the first kill comes out, and it's 04 Dash that actually lose their Tracer player. But yeah, I mean, high ground control, corner control. Shira couldn't press forward, and now you have to wonder if 04 Dash are going to play this well, this smart. I mean, is this going to be something that winds up continuing consistently?
See, an aggressive step forward from Ataraxia. Nanoing the Echo. I'm not sure how much I love this. Yeah, the second strike of the Nano Boost feels a lot stronger, but fortunately at the tail end of that Nano Boost, Ken got a pick. So now things get real messy as the duplicate comes out for 04 Dash, trying to pressure forward with the second Diva, maybe chucking a bomb to force that backline away even further than they were already being pushed back. It's just Pastor and Shira on the point right now, to be completely honest, and with the support line so far back, they're bound to go down eventually here.
Interesting approach here. Luke Star does actually find Gala. Bob definitely shutting down this approach, and man, that just got even harder. Ataraxia just off the back of Shira, finding some insane amount of value, diving in almost solo. But I mean, I think the biggest crux now for 04 Dash going forward is going to be, how do we deal with Ken? I mean, there's no pressure really onto this Ashe at all. Really not much damage taken at all. I mean, you look at that backline, 500 damage taken in totality for Ken, 798 for Gala, and 500 for Natlux. There is no pressure onto this backline at all.
We talk about Shira getting beat on pretty hard here, but there we start to see the focus shift for 04 Dash as they dive towards that back line and get Ken. I think they're listening to us or something. Like, this is, yes, a couple misfires there for them firing away at the Diva, but their ability to recognize it and change the game plan pretty quickly is impressive. It hasn't won them the fight in entirety quite yet, as that high ground still under contention, but with Shira at a mech, this should certainly mean some cart pressure and a fight win with that pulse bomb coming through.
That's a second, I think, onto Gala that they got in a row, and now with Passer falling, yeah, this is a lot better here for 04 Dash. They immediately recognized what the issue was. Hey, look, there's some players out there in the back that are a little bit more susceptible to some of our pressure and some of our damage. Why are we not going for them? They flip that switch, and things look way better because of it. And now you see this time bank. Things are still looking great. You still see self-destruct ults coming up as well for 04 Dash.
It's the dupe and the Ant Matrix that do it for me here, though. Such incredible space-taking ultimates. See a dive into the backline from the Tracer, from the Echo. Shira eats all the damage from that Ant Matrix. This will be an easily dealt with Bob as well. Ataraxia throwing an ultimate into the abyss here as they try to scramble to contest the end of a B point. That was inevitable for 04 Dash. I mean, a small speed bump is the only way I can describe that one fight win that Ataraxia got.
Yeah, and even then, I mean, it just kind of felt like they won it, but 04 Dash was back in the mix quickly, and then it seemed like Ataraxia could have won another, but 04 Dash was right back in the mix so quick as, again, I mean, it was back-to-back efforts there, and now 04 Dash, they're not really spending anything to be able to continue winning these fights, continue pushing this momentum forward, and yet another pick, nothing spent.
Was that just Chow? I think that was just Chow diving in on Ken. Managed to find a pick there on the backline. Maybe a stray shot from Luxar. I don't know, you shouldn't be giving kills away, especially at that range though against a diva. Chow, no punish for going in that deep. Now you're approaching the end of a point. 0-4 dash, double diva'd up, or diving your Ana. Oh god, poor Gala. Notlox has said, you know what, you have fun back there. I'll see if I can pocket Shira to a victory. That doesn't seem very likely either though, as 0-4 dash still have gas in the tank, and Amp Matrix on top of all of that. A self-destruct could zone off the final moments of this point as well, making things even rougher for Ataraxia, who are finally starting to stabilize with help from a couple picks from Ken and Gala.
Yeah, and on top of that, they still have that respawn advantage. So if they can get some of these trades inside of the fights before things go terribly sideways, well, then they'll be in a much better position. And I think now with them backed all the way up here, this is definitely a much better position for them to at least get a hold. But you have to continue this, and now we're seeing the swap from Zhao. They're going over to Zarya, and this is, I think, just full committed to dealing with Shar. You're seeing the beam all the way.
I mean, it's a strong pick for Chow in particular, has played it for some time. Plays into the diva particularly well. Shira, not particularly well known for chucking in a Winston, something that would play pretty decently into this. The answer is really looking at the DPS line and hoping for picks, but right now it's all 0-4 dash. This Zarya has been an incredible tech-in from 0-4 dash, in one that they had no reservations in making. They swap instantly. Their willingness to change the game plan, their fluidity is incredible within this match. Shira still feeling the hurt of that beam from the Zarya, gets away with the health bar, but is lucky to do so. A dupe now is the real last-ditch effort from Ataraxia, as 0-4 dash still don't have any ultimates to really fire away and topple this point over with. And an amplification matrix to hold them off. It's looking better and better for Ataraxia by the second, but with Ken down, maybe it's not.
Oh, this is not good news for Ataraxia. That is a big grab that certainly sets back a ton of the resources for Ataraxia. Now it's just 0-4 dash looking to see if they can actually close this out.
They should be able to dupe and grab. If that's not enough, I don't know what is. Green overwhelms the kill feed as 0-4 dash careen across the finish line here on Noombani. This was Ataraxia's map pick, but it is 0-4 dash's map to take.
50 seconds, the timer there, round one complete for 0-4 dash, and what a finish it was as well. You saw that shift. You saw Zarya actually taken, but it wasn't fully completed just yet. We were still kind of in that mindset of playing for the diva, and then there was another change that got made. Nice play there as well. But another change that got made where we saw a recommitment of the resources back over to Chow. They saw that Chow was dominant in that tank matchup, even more so than they would have intended, because obviously Ataraxia was focusing a lot of their pressure onto the Zarya, especially with bubbles down. But Chow was still very dominant in that matchup. They were able to hold Shira to the cart. And as soon as we saw 0-4 dash realize that, they committed everything to Chow. Chow was able to get out the Graviton Surge, and it pulled everything else that was left. If there was anything left from Ataraxia, it got pulled then, and that was when the door shut in front of their face.
What's crazy for me is the pace of their decision-making, too. Like, these are not decisions that other teams would take lightly. Other teams would force a comp through the map, try and make minor adjustments. 0-4 dash is making entire game plan changes, shifting from frontline dive to backline dive, frontline focus, backline focus, tossing in a Zarya, teching it in at the final moments of a point, and again, shifting that game plan back to what they were doing earlier that wasn't working earlier, recognizing that it would work then. And I think a lot of that comes down to Chow. You talk about it. Somebody who's not just played as a player, but has played as coaching staff for many a successful team. You need somebody like that in the wings if you want to make significant compositional maneuvers like they have.
And not only that, but it makes you wonder, where has this team been? Love to see if they can close this out, but it is a good start for them on map number 2 in a series that they're up in. Now they have to deal with Ken. They have to deal with this approach from Ataraxia, and they're going for the high ground early.
Ataraxia's dive easily absorbed by the likes of 0-4 dash. Chow calmly. Defense matrixes away most of the pressure. Gala makes the sprint across the point. 0-4 dash don't try to dive the Ana though until maybe a little bit later. Gala's taking a lot of damage, but hasn't gone down quite yet. Chow makes a decisive move onto Ken though, and they both topple at the same time. Push from Ataraxia easily deflected away from a well-timed push by 0-4 dash.
A little worry here for Ataraxia as well. They have to be careful. They know that there is some danger very close to them. Lugstar has that pulse bomb at the ready. There's a couple of targets that could be found here, but I will say there are some good options for Ataraxia to deny that pulse bomb that comes out. I think that's the biggest worry for Ataraxia in their approach. That might slow them a little bit because they know that that could come in and completely shut the door on this attack.
I mean, it's a lot harder of a pulse bomb to land now that Gala is swapped over to the Kiriko, right? Lugstar dives in, it's onto the Kiriko. There's no response! No TP! No Suzu! They used them all earlier in the fight to play that aggressive position that Gala had gotten into to set things up, not preparing themselves for that pulse bomb. They weren't ready, Hurix! They had all the time in the world to prep. Just a slight miscalculation. And they pay the ultimate price, 0-4 dash. I mean, this is as comfortable as it gets for Numbani.
Yeah, it just doesn't feel much better for 0-4 dash than it does so far in this series. There, finally, Pastor gets the better end of the deal, but Goku has been dominant throughout this one. And you can see now with less than half of their time bank, Ataraxia have finally built up to a stage where they might be able to overpower 0-4 dash. If not for the macro, it should at least be with these ultimates.
We'll see. 0-4 dash have put up a hell of a performance in this game thus far. Overcoming this fight would be one of many miracles they've already performed. See if they can just get one more. Goku killing an Atlox, a res onto Goku. Numbers not great for 0-4 dash. They do have a duplicate though if they want to send this one long. I think they'll hold it though for the sake of macro on that second point. Lugstar though picks up one more to go.
Yeah, good effort from 0-4 dash. I think the big thing here is the fact that they were able to get their DPS ults online, so at least going into this next fight, they may not relinquish all the momentum, and that's certainly something that they have to be aware of for this section of the map, because you can easily take minutes off of the clock here in this section. It's so long. There's certainly a lot of different opportunities to take really solid fights, defensive positioning, being mindful of that. But that definitely isn't a good start.
Yeah, no, 0-4 dash want to finish this thing on this point. And you know what? With Pastor down, it's all of a sudden looking a bit more possible. A res takes time, but not enough for 0-4 dash to really kick their foot in the door. Ataraxia keep going through B.
We'll have to see how long it takes Chao to go down. Interesting that they actually took him as early as they did. There might have been a possibility to make that last maybe like 5, 6.
I think it's just adrenaline for Ataraxia. I think they're not trying to play around here, you know?
Yeah, but this does give the opportunity for 0-4 dash to get a decent fight opportunity here right at the end of point B, as Chao is back and very close to self-destruct. So if Chao takes a ton of pressure, they have that reset potential, and there it is.
It's Ken focused again solely by Chao. Not enough damage there to finish off that health bar. A high ground bomb, though. Looks to make some space as Shira falls. Now it's just 0-4 dash with a tank, which should be more than enough to win this point, as there's no real pressure on the point, no presence from Ataraxia left to really get it through.
Yeah, they had 2 self-destructs going off at the same time. 0-4 dash had both levels covered. Top and second story. Or sorry, first and second story completely covered. So it completely pushed Ataraxia off of the entire point, and they also got separated and then isolated. So yeah, that was a little bit unfortunate for Ataraxia. They weren't obviously prepared for that to happen, especially in the timing that it did. We'll see what they can do here, because that did pull... Or sorry, it was actually only the one self-destruct. It was Shira's self-destruct that was on the first story. But either way, it did pull Ataraxia off into the building. They couldn't contest the point because of the positioning that we saw Goku having. But either way, 0-4 dash holding on to this high ground here. It's going to be Pastor with the duplicate, but that's really all that Ataraxia have. But they got the pick.
Oh, it's huge. Sucrax down. No sustain for this team. Ataraxia crumble 0-4 dash's defense here at the end of B. Question now is, what's the time bank looking like going into C? Chao can trade one back. You need 1 or 2 more to convince me here, 0-4 dash, but you know what? 1 or 2 more might get delivered. No, Pastor cleans things up. Nicely done.
And then nice amount of healing as well, just to make sure that Pastor doesn't go down late there. But a finished point B for Ataraxia. They had to pretty much throw everything out to get it done, but that's all that's important right now. And here's where you see that swap happening yet again. 0-4 dash committing to the Zarya. Chao pulling that one out again. But Pastor has been, I mean, he's actually kind of been lights out, finding a ton of opening picks. Both him and Ken have been finding a ton of opening picks. It's been Suckrax actually going down more often than not in a lot of these, but either way.
Finally, Pastor gets their comeuppance, but it's just not worth it. Ataraxia throw an amplification matrix and give 04 Dash the beans. Ataraxia did not have the advantage coming into this fight. It should have been 04 Dash in a lot of circumstances, but just not right now. Ken and Pastor are too much to match. Goku's trying desperately to put up some sort of equalization on this Echo. Flies into an immortality field. That's a Hail Mary from Spawn to stop this cart from pushing. And you know what? I think at the end of the day, when the dust settles, 04 Dash did get enough of a win out of that.
Yeah, I mean, respawn advantage is just enough to get the job done, and also it resets position too, so Suckrax is in a decent spot to just kind of throw down an Amp Matrix for himself, but unfortunately, that ain't happening.
It can't keep happening, man. This backline's getting picked left, right, and center. Ataraxia, yeah, this is going to be an easy walking the cart to the end here. The tank being the last to die means as well that any sort of stagger is going to be cut short by the fact that they just don't have enough health to actually hide behind. Ataraxia just about matched the time bank here of 04 Dash and what very well could have been enough of a hold to pull that time bank away. And I think that's the unfortunate part there. I think that's the disappointment for 04 Dash was that it was so doable to clean that up to 0 seconds.
Yeah, I mean, we talked about it already, just the importance of momentum on a map like Nimbani. You saw things start off really, really hot for 04 Dash. We saw Ataraxia drained of most of their time bank initially. I mean, 04 Dash was smothering Ataraxia. Their backline was covered constantly in a barrage of damage from every angle. And then as soon as any foothold was found by Ataraxia, they never let go of that at all. They just put that foot on the gas and did not relent. That is a stellar finish from Ataraxia. I mean, as well as 04 Dash have been performing, we do have to give some credit to Ataraxia for finding their way back into this one. It's tough when you're down like they were, or at least I imagine that they felt like they were.
I mean, you talk about the picks that came through, how Ataraxia are doing a great job converting. For me, the issue is just the rate of the picks coming through. When picks are happening that often, it is both that you need to give incredible hats off to Ken and Pastor because they're hitting the shots, they're doing exactly what their job needs to be, and they're taking advantage of things from 04 Dash. But if players are getting picked that often, somebody's out of position, you know? And it's happening time and time again. They've got to keep that backline up because Chao is playing far more for the dive than for the peel on this D.Va. And if they want to get away with that, they've got to play a little bit safer.
And I think one of the interesting things here is the major difference in the compositions. I mean, it's a small thing, but it's a big thing that you see Ken on this pick here of the Ashe and Luke Star on the Tracer, and just like that, Pastor's going to fall. We're probably going to have to talk about that comp disc difference later on, though.
We saw the difficulty that Ataraxia had in contesting A early on in the last time, both on defense and attack. That may bite them in the rear here in OT.
Ataraxia, 20 seconds left here. They went the distance. They got to this position by virtue of their aggression, by virtue of their picks that they were able to find. And they need one now if they're able to get anything going. And Ken almost died there. The just Chao, I think.
I mean, that just would have been it. Altogether, 04 Dash, though, the first one's up with ultimates. Ataraxia need to strike before those come to fruition. That's what they were looking for! Focusing Beam takes down Sucrax, but the trade's so good from 04 Dash. The res ready and waiting as well. Ataraxia was not meant to be on this A point. Now they stare down the barrel of an 04 Dash who took this A point without even killing anybody in their attacking round.
Silver lining, you know I gotta throw it out, man.
Okay,
you know I have to. There was a tick stolen there in the midst of a losing battle. 33 points. It was like, it says 33.8 there, but it was like 33.76. It says 33.7.
Does it round in a different direction?
Yeah, so we've got truncation here in this UI, and we've got rounding in the other one. So we've got like a 33.76 situation on our hands potentially. But either way, Ataraxia did at least find something. So this is, at this stage, not going to be a situation where we have, you know, any kind of draw that you can put the telescopes away. That is not in our sights at all. One team is coming away with a map win here, 04 Dash. I have to imagine are going to need to take some kills to take it this time. Ataraxia not going to be bodied off of that position this time around. They certainly have some stuff at the ready.
Astor coming in on the Torbjorn. It is a fully defensive composition. I'm actually quite a big fan of Ash Torb as a DPS line in general. I think it's super slept on the right maps. It can do a lot.
The old
On this
Horizon
map,
comp,
it
right?
can be
It's
pretty
the old
strong.
Horizon comp.
Exactly. And I think it's plenty viable in this situation. 0-4 Dash have to attack into it. They have, I think, a lot less liberty to try and disengage Ataraxia than they did before, but we saw how disengaging went for them last time, so maybe they're just not trying to do that at all.
One of the things here, too, is that Goku likely going to have to play a little bit more aggressively if 0-4 Dash wants to find their way into the objective, or at least pulling things forward from Ataraxia, and in so doing might place himself and also Haku into a position where they can get picked off. You're already seeing that pressure being exerted onto Haku there. That health bar gets lower, so certainly watch for where Goku is taking that duo. That could definitely spell good things or desperately bad things.
Oh, this is a big focusing beam. It's got Gala! Everything they were looking for, Analog's down, the back line's gone. Ataraxia, say goodbye to your second map. 0-4 Dash. You're there one away. You're there one away.
I can't believe it. 0-4 Dash have done it again. They have found a way to execute here on point A. They take a second map. What an unbelievable situation here. I mean, we were coming into this and we were saying, look, this is all coming down to they just want to be able to get a win. We've seen them take some maps. We've seen them, get pretty close against Sheer Cold. They were able to take a few off of some other teams, but it really hasn't been as close as it is right now. They are leading the series, and this has not been something that happens often for this team.
No, look, this is the first time, the only time we're seeing 0-4 Dash. We've watched them slowly crumble in the background, going 0-9 up until now. It was desperate. This was the one match on the schedule that we said, okay, we'll toss them up on stream. Maybe this is the chance they need. And then we saw how Ataraxia was playing last week, and we said, oh no. And Ataraxia is looking in form. They're looking incredible. The backline was playing great. Everything was like a well-oiled machine. Everything said that 0-4 Dash should not be in this position. Alas, we're here 2-0. Can they finish things off? Put their first, maybe only win on the board after this break.
You like solving problems. Problems like how to stop that tracer from deleting your backline. I know just what you're thinking. You'll bring a turret. But y'all can't solve all your problems by simply bringing an extra friend to the battlefield. For that, you need the Contenders Torbjorn skin. Solve your problems by connecting your Battle.net account to Twitch. After that, watching Overwatch Contenders Summer Series will contribute to your drops progress, letting you claim your Overwatch Contenders Torbjorn skin. Even your turret gets an upgrade. Warning, the Overwatch Contenders Torbjorn skin does not come with extra or upgraded turrets. Build instructions will not be provided. By picking Torbjorn, you waive a claim towards any destroyed turrets. No refunds, no exchanges, and no take-backsies.
Welcome back, everybody. We're recovering ourselves. We're trying not to set expectations too high, but the alarm bell is like slowly ringing in the distance. 04 Dash are up 2-0. There's no other way to put it. Route 66 is the destination that we'll head to see if they can close things out in one go, or if things get a lot more stressful for both these teams and our blood pressure gets even higher.
I'm experiencing some crazy emotions right now. I mean, part of it is elation. I feel good for 04 Dash, a team that, like, you look at it, face value, this should be an incredible team. At least being able to vie for some wins here and there at the bare minimum, but, you know, obviously have been suffering so far in the round robin stage, but might have a shot here to get there first. Route 66 going to be map number 3 here. Yet another map chosen by Ataraxia, and yet another compositional swap, roster swap, which will lead probably to a compositional swap for Ataraxia. They're bringing Helv back in. Otherwise, everything else is the same here. But really, I mean, when you talk about composition, I think that is one thing that does kind of set Ataraxia and 04 Dash apart, interestingly, that we have seen some changes for 04 Dash, and obviously a lot of that comes down to investment into Goku, and Goku doing a lot with that investment. But otherwise, Suckrex has been doing a phenomenal job when not getting first picked, I guess, as well.
Yeah, I think in large part, as much as there are individual performances here, like you said, they're putting the resources into Goku, Suckrex is doing well. It's largely been both macro and team play.
Oh, yeah.
Their fight planning has been dead on. Their decision-making mid-match, I mean, the 2 swaps on their attacking side of Numbani were picture perfect. I'm assuming calls from Chow, you have to think that's where it's coming from. But from the entire team, it has been top-down a really impressive match.
Yeah, I mean, based off of what I know from these players, it's going to come down to, obviously, the team environment. They're going to be calling to each other, giving each other information, but a lot of that is going to fall on Chow, more than likely. I'd be interested in talking to them and getting a little bit more of a deeper dive into that. But yeah, based off of what I know about these players that I've been seeing for years now, I think Chow probably is a dominant person in the comms in terms of structuring some of these timings, some of these plays that we've been seeing them make. And then, obviously, a lot of those swaps that do rely on Chow, those are coming from him as well. So when you see him swapping over to the Zarya, that's very likely coming from him as well. But as we now transition over into a map number 3, one of the things that we talked about earlier was that 04 Dash really hasn't had too much success in map 3s. They've only won one single escort map, and it wasn't Route 66, so we'll have to see what they can do. If they pull this one off, this would be insane. I mean, what a conclusion to the day if 04 Dash gets their first win of the round robin.
I think we can all go out and celebrate after that one, but up against them on Route 66, I think we've glanced over Helv coming back in a little bit, because we saw a ton of the Orisa last week. Helv was on fire, making difference after difference, pulling back lost fights time and time again that they should have had absolutely no right doing, with critical spears on backline members, setting them up for tracer dives at the same time. Some really nice coordination. Not 100% sure it's going to come out here, but I'm starting to think that it's been one of the more consistent map winners for them in the past week or two. And it can be brought out here. We'll see in a couple seconds. The world's really their oyster. The Winston, of course, is kind of the default go-to in situations like this. The question arises again for Chow as well. Do we want to go with the D.Va? Do we want to go with the Winston? Plenty of choice to be had there.
I think the funny thing here, too, is the fact that, you know, if I'm Ataraxia, I'm thinking to myself, man, I wish I could play Rein. I mean, this is a team, rather, that would do well playing a Rein-based composition. Helv is a phenomenal Rein player, but really this map pool, despite all of the success that we're seeing from SR Peak Check, not really the best outright map pool for playing enforcing Rein compositions. Really, I mean, your best bet on this map, as we've actually seen and heard from SR Peak Check, would be something like Circuit, which obviously neither of these teams is actually going to play Reinhardt on Circuit. They would definitely both go for Sigma. So that's just not happening. It's not in the cards for Ataraxia, as much as I think Helv would love it. But Winston is definitely something that Ataraxia can pull out here and have some success with, but whether or not they will, still yet to be determined. We do see Gala letting that early just getting some ult credit. But overall, 04 Dash, this is potentially going to end the way it started. I mean, this is a very similar composition to what we saw from them back on Busan.
Yeah, it's all about those picks. Luckstar and Goku pairing together. One rocket, one arrow. 2 rockets, 2 arrows, either of them will do it. A 1 to the dome is enough to put a pin in the hopes of Ataraxia keeping this series longer. Initially, though, it's a pick on Tuckrex from Ken. Open things up. First corner has been garnered, though, and with the far above, Gala still has to deal with this. A pick onto the Ana is so worthwhile for this team to get. They try to invest big on it. Barely scrape by with Goku's life. Unfortunately, it's at the cost of Haku's.
Yeah, Haku's going down here. This is exactly what we were talking about in the last map as well. Remember, Goku has to play aggressively here if 04 Dash are going to have success, and that's going to pull him forward and Haku forward. So if Ataraxia turn and are able to get value out of that turn onto either of them, that might just be a lost fight then and there for 04 Dash. And on top of that, you also have Luke Star onto the Hanzo. There's a sleep onto Goku as well. That might be his death.
Almost certainly is. They trade out for Ken, though. And the Resurrect is a very real thing here for 04 Dash. They actually look to collapse on that body and cover it for a res. Ataraxia recognized that, nano boost the Winston to make sure that doesn't go through, but in doing so, invested a lot of their resources not towards the top of Big Earls, which is now in control of 04 Dash.
Oh, tries to be so careful, though. Goes down so dangerously low. Luckily for 04 Dash, they stabilize their tank. That's the person that they need in this fight, holding up that high ground, as well as being able to get that annihilation ready to go for this one as they get closer to capping out point A.
Right, coming through, Sucrax. The high ground relatively uncontested. Ken needs to throw something at this Baptiste, or else that high ground pressure is just going to be too much. Annihilation into the backline buys all the space that they were looking for. Pastor's trying to make this EMP work. It might be a swap here for Ataraxia, though, as 04 Dash pressed over A.
Yeah, it might honestly need to be at this stage. I mean, Pastor did manage to generate that EMP pretty quickly, so they are getting value out of the Sombra in terms of generating those ultimates, but it's about getting value when you get them. 04 Dash, unfortunately for Ataraxia, just absolutely suffocated them in a choke point, so it's very difficult to execute off of that. So if they want to hold on to the EMP bot, you can definitely do that. Generate some more EMPs, go ahead. It's still a viable option for Ataraxia, especially, again, given the fact that Pastor can generate those rather quickly. But dealing with Goku, dealing with Haku like we saw before, that's still what's on the menu for Ataraxia.
See, that's where I disagree. I don't think EMP bot is like the way through this. Ken's been getting you picks like off random just because Ken is Ken, right? And that's been really good for you, but sitting here waiting for an EMP is also sitting here waiting for an arrow to connect through your head, waiting for a rocket. The longer the pick composition has to find the picks, they're happy with that, right? They're chill just playing at distance and letting you get some EMP charge, because they get one pick in the time that it takes you to build up that much, they're gonna get a fight win on you. And that looked nearly enough to do so, despite Ken's heroic efforts.
This stage, proof is in the pudding, it feels like, right? I mean, it could go either way. Ataraxia just waiting for that EMP like we talked about, but in the meantime, they just have so much space to help them out with, right? Gala going to be able to pull out the ult. Okay, definitely not doing that anymore.
Dive's good for both sides, though. Pastor and Gala are down. The help of a barrage as well. This fight will be quickly stabilized by 04 Dash. It's a cheap one. Just the barrage having been committed in there to get a fight win and a strong position. This is so worthwhile.
230, 04 Dash. I mean, they're just one step closer. Every single fight won here is just one step closer to maybe their first win in the round robin stage. They can't make playoffs at this stage, but now it's about their name. It's about their legacy. Can they get the win?
Pick. They got Pastor, and before the EMP came online, it's lights out for this B point. There's no way for Ataraxia to really get in. Like I said, Ken has been the linchpin of this defense for Ataraxia. Every fight they've won has started off with a Ken pick. And I feel like that's just not something you consistently rely on for your Tracer to just solo the backline. But if there's anybody, maybe it's Ken.
I'll tell you the thing that isn't working here is this Sombra. It's just simply not at this stage. The EMP is ready finally, but it took all of point B. What was a really fast generation on point A, it took about 3 times as long for them to get it this time around. Now they need value out of this.
Ken's done it again. Just solo onto Goku allows them to save the EMP. Ken has been muscling through. If anybody prevents 04 Dash from getting their first win, it will have been Ken the Gatekeeper.
Okay, so focus still on Ken, but certainly also on Pastor. It took so long to get here, man. You really got to get something out of this time around. 0-4 Dash, though, going to be pushed again. We see Luxstar on this Torb. This should help them to a degree with this dive. If Ataraxia go forward aggressively, they are going to be met with some really solid pressure, but it's going the other way.
Star down, Amp Matrix out. Pastor still holding on to the EMP. Ataraxia's early picks have allowed them to leverage that so beautifully. And now every fight that 0-4 Dash walk into, they have to be wary of that EMP. It is a threat. It's quite a tool, even when it's not being used.
I love the patience from Pastor, though. I mean, I think this makes just so much sense, and it's hard to do that as well. When you've only used one single ultimate and what is effectively almost an entire map. There's only 2 minutes left to your door, and Pastor's only ulted once as a Sombra, but to hold on to this when you don't need it, that is so smart because it might make all the difference in the fight to come.
0-4 Dash want nothing more than the insurance that reaching the end of Route 66 would provide them. Ataraxia unwilling to give them that policy, though. Helv takes out the opening pick. Suckrack's down. Chow trying desperately to get in here. Knows he has the Annihilation to extend this fight, so doesn't need that support necessarily. But with multiple players falling behind him, it becomes a lot harder to push. They group up with that pressure. Annihilation popped. Zones people away from the cart, but Ataraxia already got what they wanted. If they can just get out scot-free, if they could have just gotten out with Helv, they would have been happy. But as the tank falls, more cart progress goes the way of 0-4 Dash. Bolstering that attack yet is an immortality field, allowing Chow to stay alive. There's a Hail Mary from Suckrax, one that he was only able to get off just before dying for like the 3rd time in 2 minutes. Chow falls back now onto a team with only 4 members. Suckrax was picked up though, and they're back up to 5. All the members rally together to try and reach the end of a Route 66 that could very well spell the end of a losing streak here for 0-4 Dash. Ataraxia on the back foot. They have nothing to contest here. The cart continues storming forward. A molten core, a last hurrah, a final shout towards the end of this map. Only Pastor is left here. It'll be but a whisper though in the grand scheme of things. The line in the sand has been drawn. 0-4 Dash just have to stop the end of the map from being reached, and most of their troubles will have been over.
20 seconds as well. So if things go a little bit further, guess what? That might help out. 20 seconds is enough sometimes, depending on where we're at, to get another fight. So this is a good position for 0-4 Dash to be in. They should feel confident as they start their defense here. I mean, Ataraxia definitely made him work for it at the end, but really, 0-4 Dash was dominant throughout.
I mean, the difference in tone that we talk about this map with between beginning of C and end of C push is massive. It was very reachable, very attainable for a while for Ataraxia, but the end of the map is far more difficult because Time Bank just fell by the wayside. Again, you have to give so much credit though. Like you said, 0-4 Dash was in charge of pretty much that entire map. The only thing that continued to offer up issues for them was Ken, and then again, I think some strong credit to Gala, who put up a good performance there on C to make that hold as long as it was.
What can they do on their defense now? Like you said, the only thing they have to do is just stop Ataraxia from finishing the map, and guess what? That's a very achievable feat. It genuinely is. This is a map that can be very difficult to traverse through. I mean, especially even for dive-based compositions like we're expecting to get out of Ataraxia. It's what they're hovering right now as well. This is pretty difficult because if you don't have momentum, setting up for these dives takes time, and if you lose the fight after that to any of these picks that could come out from 0-4 Dash, then guess what? That is all that time wasted.
Astro's got to be quick with these EMP charges. Has been in the past on this A point, but it's getting forced away quite quickly by Goku, who's doing a good job of both spy checking and dissuading the second that Sombra reveals herself. Roldan's just initial positioning. Picks unavailable for either side, but one stray arrow from Luxstar very well could do it. They whiz by the head of Ken, but eventually the Hanzo gets taken down. A strong first dive by Ataraxia to open things up as Goku fades away.
Strong start from Ataraxia. That's exactly what they were looking for. That's exactly what they really needed in this moment as well. Also, getting these late staggered picks helps them out tremendously. We talk about momentum with a composition like this. This is exactly what they're getting for themselves. And getting this early on as well is just so important. Going to be so critical to set up for Ken, set up for Gala as well. See what they can do with what they've obtained for themselves. 04 Dash going to have to push through choke points, and they've already lost a body.
The res there onto Goku. Is it uncontested is probably the better question. No, Ataraxia topple on top of what was initially a good res, but not enough real resources there for 04 Dash to hold it, and all of a sudden, not looking too hot. I suppose a minute 30 off the clock here isn't too bad for 04 Dash, but I think they were certainly hoping for better.
Yeah, I think they would love that, but with the way this series is going, Dora, I have to say that I'm throwing all of that out the window. I mean, at this point, I think that if I'm Ataraxia, I'm willing to take whatever I can get.
Oh, yeah.
Ataraxia, I mean, they're setting up. They're going to have that EMP ready to go here, but again, all about execution. 04 Dash have made it so difficult. Suckrack's coming back up as well. It makes it that much more difficult as well in getting that value from the EMP once it does come out.
EMP available for Pastor has held them close to their chest for pretty much every fight that they can. Still not wanting to use it on Luke Star. They pay the price. Health goes down for it. Ataraxia, though, with the help of Ken at the helm, is getting so much done. Ken just seems indomitable, man. I do not know how you contest this Echo, this Tracer, whatever he's on. It's enough. A great hack as well denies the res. Be walking back.
That is incredible. Should be noted as well, still waiting on that EMP. Hasn't even been used from Pastor. Still holding on to that, but 04 Dash is going to make it. It's going to take even longer. Luke Star just eating them up. That's 3K from Luke Star there. 04 Dash just made it that much more difficult and made Pastor's life that much harder as well. I mean, we put so much emphasis a lot of times when you see these Sombras into the compositions on making sure that once it's up, you need to get that value. You need to be able to execute quickly, make that an efficient fight. But in reality, Ataraxia has been doing anything but, really.
It's too conservative. 04 Dash have taken advantage of it time and time again. Pastor as well got spy check. Needs an EMP target, especially late into a fight that's getting messy. But because they held it, it's able to have been traded out calmly. Pastor is now translocated away. The cart's not moving. 04 Dash will get another set of respawns. Neutral fights. 04 Dash are so okay with. It's just time off the clock. And Ataraxia cannot afford that. Time is not on their side. Ken recognizes that. Tries to step up to the play to duplicate onto the Tracer, which he got so much done with on the initial defensive side. Needs to deliver something big with this pulse bomb. With the help of Gala, they're able to, but Luke Star matches on the opposing side, trading out that kill onto the flex support. Ataraxia now re-up into the 4v4, trying to find some sort of dive with the help of this EMP, but there's still no targets, Yurix!
Oh yeah, the Valks just make it that much more difficult as well. Goku goes down, but there's an opportunity to res this one here, and Haku might actually take it, but Ken follows him out as well.
Luke Star gets the trades yet again. This Tracer has stepped up beyond belief on this defensive side. On the beat point alone, has gotten immense value. Stays alive to contest the cart in moments like this. Finally topples. It was a Herculean effort by Ataraxia, though. One which still has not used EMP!
I can't believe it. We're still at 2 ultimates used. It's 1:48 left on the clock, and Pastor has not used a single EMP at all. At this point, you have to wonder if the Q button is okay on the keyboard. I mean, what's the deal?
I don't know. 3 minutes and a point C in their way. 04 Dash, a line in the sand that they may not allow Ataraxia to cross, or things get a lot more stressful for them later on in the series.
Junk swap as well. That actually is really good against the EMP as well. That shout can come out late, help protect the team. That can also instigate very quick engages, just rushing forward, maybe trying to see if they can find some pressure onto Gala in the back line. What can they do with it? They have Goku to help them out as well.
No EMP. 04 Dash, a proactive dive forward with the help of a duplicate from Goku. A decisive move in a critical moment.
I'm so stricken by the fact that we have not seen the EMP in the entire attacking phase from Ataraxia. We have no EMPs sent at all. Not one. And yet here we go. Pastor, this is the moment.
Count! Catches onto Sucrax. Goku followed up on as well. The EMP was everything they needed, but it's only the first of 2 fights, Yurks.
Yeah, 2 minutes still in the clock here. They still have to push their way forward. There is going to be a significant respawn advantage as well for 04 Dash, but I think the big question is, do they have the firepower to get out of their spawn, find a pick, and utilize that respawn advantage? Or are they just going to get ran down by the momentum? No. There's a pick, though.
Pastor down. Almost certainly for Ataraxia, they're not going to take this fight. Oh, it seems like they should be backing away in a lot of these situations, but a focusing beam gives them a chance. It's not quite there, though. Now you're worried that you might have overextended if you're Ataraxia, but you're all in at this point. You might as well go. Gala got the better of Lukestar. Ken got the better of Sucrax. All of a sudden, it's feeling like they had a chance. A fight that was 4v5 that they could have calmly backed away from. They went all in, and they may have just doubled up. 04 Dash trading back frantically, trying to take advantage of this spawn advantage that they have. And maybe it's enough. Maybe with the help of this Rampage, they can come back in, catch a foothold on this point, and end their series, end their strife here. Focusing beam does result in a pick onto Gala with the help of Lukestar. Like we said, Rampage is coming back in here in just moments. Ataraxia knows their time is running thin, backs away, cowers towards Ken, who offers them up a moment of reprieve, and now a re-engage with 45 seconds on, and but a dream for 04 Dash in this hold. The player set up. Chow looking for a bowling lane to send this Rampage down. A quick pause gives us a breath as we step into the final moments. Lukestar delivers! Chow, Goku, and Lukestar, they've all got tools. It's 30 seconds here. It's one more play is required.
And the only thing here Ataraxia really has, the only play at their disposal is sending a nano to Helve and hoping.
Nano boost in. Helve sends it down the back line, finds nothing. Lukestar knows he can end it here and now. Ken down, Helve to follow. 10 seconds fall by the wayside as Ataraxia can feel it slipping. 04 Dash have done it. They had one moment to shine on broadcast. They had one match to do it. 9 down, but it will not hit double digits. This loss streak ends now. 04 Dash end with their pride in hand.
1-9. They've got the win under their belt. Guess what? They still have another match, but this now just means so much for them. I mean, come on. This is a team that shouldn't have gone without a loss, and now they can finally say that they went and got their win. The one that they have been hunting, the one that they've been searching for, waiting on, working towards. They finally get it done. I can't believe it. I mean, against Ataraxia, too. This is the team that we had high hopes for at the end of last week. I mean, this was a team on the up and up. And here, they get stifled by the 12th place team that was without a win.
They could have done it against Pitbull Storm. They could have done it against Sheer Cold. They could have done it against Play. But no. Ataraxia. Oh, dude. The gap we perceived to be between these two teams was massive. I don't know what they had the last week. They played another match earlier today. They got 3-0'd. They just turned on the Jets when it mattered. Because they have only played one game on broadcast, Riggs, and it was this one.
Yeah, I mean, I had so many questions coming into this one, but oddly enough, this one leaves me with more questions than I started with, right? Because we came into this and it was like, how is this team not doing well? And then you watch this game and it's like, how come you guys haven't been doing this to everybody? Like, what's happening at this point? You know, what shifted, what snapped, what clicked? Like,
it wasn't even one thing either. Exactly. Like at the beginning of the series, it was the macro, it was the top-down positional play that they showed us. That was phenomenal through map 1 and map 2. But map 3 required an amount of muscle that I don't think we've ever seen from this team before. That performance on the defensive half from Lukestar, my
21 final blows for Lukestar. As magnificent as Ken was,
of those are defense. I had to have been.
Most of them were, because the first time that you mentioned Lukestar popping off, I looked over, he was at 11. And that was midway through the defense. At some point at that stage, he was at 11, and he ended with 21. So yeah, a significant portion of that was on the defense. And even before that, we saw Goku really kind of delivering and everything. And, you know, we talked about how Ken was just monumental in the successes that we did see from Ataraxia. He had 20 final blows. He was incredible statistically as well, and obviously passed the eye test. But holistically, it was all about 04 Dash and what they were able to do together as a team. And again, they look like a team that shouldn't have the record that they have.
Oh man, they've got the skills to back it up clearly. They were just saving it for us on broadcast. I don't know what else to say.
We should have broadcasted them more, man. We should have broadcast like 8 games from them, man. We might be looking at a different story.
Like, maybe then somebody could contend against Twisted Minds. Alas, it wasn't meant to be. We've got an interview with Luke Star coming up after this break. Talk a little bit about what this means to them.
Oh, hello, fancy meeting you here. It's so nice to see ya. Are you ready to survive the wastelands? Then you'll need to bring your shotgun, your axe, and of course, your knife for your sharp wit, if you get my drift. Hey, whoa. Hold on there. Don't forget to pick up your Overwatch Contenders Junker Queen skin. Yeah, gearing up is as easy as connecting your Battle.net account to Twitch. And after that, watching the Overwatch Contenders Summer Series will contribute to your drop progression, letting you claim your own wasteland-ready Overwatch Contenders Junker Queen skin. Oh, that's right. It's time to rampage. Now, get out there and slay with the Overwatch Contenders Junker Queen skin. Okay, take care now. See you in chat.
Welcome back, everybody. Joyous celebrations for everybody but Ataraxia. But Ataraxia are actually in a pretty good spot to qualify, so they're probably celebrating too. Either way, we're here to celebrate with Luke Star. Luke Star, first off, congratulations. Is it more joy or more relief at the end of a match like that?
I mean, I think it's way more joy because we're not in a position to qualify for the playoffs anyway. So it's more of a joyous feeling, being able to at least walk away with a single win. So far,
Yeah, I kind of want to go like top down from this just really quick before we get into the nitty gritty. I mean, when we got into this, we had this thought of, okay, we see them dominating on that first round of control. Okay, we see them win control, but they've won control before. Let's see what they can do. Let's see where they can transition. We go into the map picks and okay, they get mapped to... hold on for a sec. I mean, are you guys experiencing the same roller coaster of emotions behind the scenes that we are, or is it a little different for you guys?
No, I mean, I definitely think it's quite the same because I went into this match thinking like, oh, it is winnable, but with how we played and honestly also like the way the players have been feeling on the team, it was a winnable game, but it was like rather far to reach. Like we had to pull something out of the kitchen.
Yeah. I mean that you guys did. Did it feel as well like you guys were helped along by the fact that, look, you got that match out of the way, you lost the ability to qualify. Did that just feel like everything was out on the table, out of the kitchen? so to speak? Did it just relieve a lot of the pressure, make it easier to play this match, or did this still feel like an incredibly high-pressure match for you by the end?
No, there hasn't really been any of our matches that has felt particularly high pressured, because we've honestly kind of went into the tournament with not that much of a try-hard attitude after the first week going 0-4. So we've mostly been having fun with it. There was slightly more pressure because, you know, it was on stream, and after our dominant win on the first map, we were like, oh my god, like, guys, we can kind of do this, right? But like, we didn't want to get hyped up because we have won control before and then just flopped after. So.
we said the same exact thing. Like, your guys started again, and we're like, wait a minute, that was really, and then we just like we've seen it happen to a million teams before, where it's like, okay, the team that's not supposed to win, they win control, they look dumb, and then you're just like, it's gone south too many times. We pulled it back, and then it just kept going, and Numbani continued to look good.
It's 3 times. I think it was 3 times you guys won control and then lost the series right after. So it was like there was a special case there. But either way, I mean, getting away from the control stuff, I do want to kind of ask you about some of your impressions about how you guys transitioned from control into that second map, because again, you guys have been in that position before and then lost the series, but this time obviously was massively different. Did you feel the same kind of shift in momentum when you guys won point A that we felt off of not taking a single kill at all? I mean, you guys didn't kill anybody and took point A out of just sheer pressure. I mean, what was that?
Yeah, I mean, that definitely felt like really good, because Numbani is a map that we've really struggled with, because a lot of like when we played it in scrims and like other matches, I've always been on like Hanzo or Ashe and stuff like that, and we talked about it going into the map, like, hey, I kind of don't want to play this. We've always struggled with Numbani like this. We don't really know how to play around the hit scan stuff. So I'm just gonna run it down on Tracer. So then when we locked down the point without taking a single kill, just pressuring the backline, that I was like, oh, this is gonna work. So
I mean, and it did. It got you guys to the third map, which leads me like, look, I know you say you're having fun with these matches, but I mean, even y'all's heart had to be pounding heading into Route 66. You wanted to clean that up in 3, no?
Yeah, that is very true. We were definitely longing for our first win, because we've choked against teams that we thought were more winnable. So we definitely wanted to take a win, and I also think that everyone's just gonna go out of this match like really happy, seeing like, hey, we were having fun with it, but we also made sure to show what we're capable of in this match.
Yeah, and I think that's exactly what you guys have done. I mean, we kind of opened this entire series talking about the potential that this roster has, and obviously there's so much talent here across the entire board. I mean, every single player is a good player, genuinely a good player, and I know we say that a lot of times about Contenders players, but that really is the truth with 04 Dash, and it was just so surprising that you guys had the season, or rather the round robin that you did. But I mean, what does this look like for you guys now? Because obviously things didn't go the way that you had planned, but this is a much better note to end on, I think, than you guys were thinking you were going to have probably an hour and a half ago.
That is very true, but unfortunately, I don't think there's gonna be much future for us as a team going forwards.
Right.
Because this match might as well have been like a fluke in a way. Like we were having fun, and then everyone decided to turn it up, man. But a lot of the other matches and scrims we've played haven't really like felt particularly good. We've struggled a lot with just inside of the team. We haven't had the same motivation or like the same grind mindset across the team. So I don't think there's gonna be any chance that we're gonna stick together as a team going forwards. But this was definitely a relief, grinding out the win here.
What was the relief at the end like? Because following not just a strong 2 maps, but you guys put up an attack, and then at the end of that game, you had finished putting up one of the most impressive Tracer defenses I've seen on Route 66 in a fat minute. For you personally, what were those final 4 minutes like? Was it a blur? Was it you turning up? Did you eat oranges at halftime? Because at this point, we got to put you on a Wheaties box for what those final minutes were.
Like we kind of started out like I've actually mostly played Flex DPS throughout my entire career, and I've only recently swapped to Hitscan. So I'm way more comfortable on Tracer than I am on a lot of the Hitscan heroes. I have way more experience on it. And after we lost the first fight on first point, and I died first. I got Sombra hack dove. I'm like, okay, I wanted to swap to something else, but then I'm like, hey, Tracer looks pretty good into this. Let me just go comfort pick and just pick up the lobby, and roll it around a bit.
Hey, I mean, if it worked on Numbani, why not try it again for map number 3? It was insane what we saw you have at the end there. Also, I loved that little pulse bomb flick that you had on the Ken after the recall, locked it down so that we couldn't have the Tracer recontest. I mean, just the level of play there at the end, it must have felt so good to end that. But obviously, a big win for you guys. I mean, unfortunately, it doesn't really mean anything, but it does mean it a lot for us internally. I mean, yeah, no playoffs, but it's a big one. We loved watching you guys. You had a great performance. Congratulations for that, man.
Thank you. Thank you so much. It was really fun. Okay.
Appreciate you popping in, man. Enjoy the win. Go celebrate. Go do what you do. We'll close things out here for EU. Hurix. Raspberry Racers versus Team Peps didn't go the way we didn't expected it to, but this certainly didn't either. I think we sacrificed one banger for another in this case.
Yeah, I know. We were kind of expecting. I know Team Peps wasn't expecting what we were expecting, but we kind of expected a little bit of a back and forth affair, at least more than what we got out of that first match. But Team Peps really locked that one down in 0-4 dash, surprisingly as well, doing the exact same thing to a team that we anticipate is going to be making it into the playoff bracket as well. Let's take a quick look at the standings just to see how things just basically shook out throughout the course of the day. We do need to mention that there is still one more day left. There is one more round of matches that we will be seeing tomorrow. But with how things stand right now, this is where we're at.
Yeah, currently, and Triple are playing, and it's 2-2, so the middle standings are shaken up a bit. But we see a little bit more striation down there towards the bottom. It's that 8th, 9th spot that you're looking at. Raspberry Racers at 3 and 7 have picked one up that may just scrape them over the line here.
Everybody's locked in right now. As things stand, your top 8 are locked in. Everybody that you see there, that is exactly who is going to the playoffs. There is still some opportunity potentially for us to be able to see, okay, we might have some different seedings by the end of today or the end of tomorrow. But as it stands, your playoff teams are there. 1 through 8. That's who we'll be seeing next week. Or sorry, not next week, but once we get to the playoff bracket.
Raspberry Racers, it was the map differential that locks them in here too. It was picking up one off of everybody they came across. They pickpocketed enough maps to scrape them across. Even if Sheer Cold, like you said, does pick up a win, there's no chance they ever pick up that many maps like Raspberry Racers did. So yeah, credit where credit's due. Let's take a look at our schedule for tomorrow though. We got Twisted Minds up against EXO first. Who doesn't love a good first versus second banger? Seeing as we have things all locked up, that's the best match we have to show you. Following that, versus SR Peak Check should be just as good of a time.
Yeah, I think one of the only other matches that I'd be really interested in is Raspberry Racers taking on 0-4 Dash. That's the other match that's going on as well that, man, I'm kind of curious about at this point, but based off what we just got to witness. But those, I mean, it'd be tough to beat either of those games. I mean, that is all of the top 4 right there. Twisted Minds, EXO, SR Peak Check. That is the top 4, no doubt, going into the bracket stage. So to get a really solid look at how those teams compete against one another, you couldn't ask for better.
Maybe we see one more map taken off of Twisted Minds. Maybe. Either way, let's take a look at what's shaking down later in NA. Because, of course, if you guys haven't, you should hit that subscribe button. They'll let you know when we're going live again. Or the follow button if that's where you're at. Because we've got Saints up against O3 Splash and Wisp up against Amplify. O3 Splash, who I think alongside Pirates and Pajamas have been the 2 most interesting teams to just watch this season. 2 teams that have really upgraded and kind of taken rosters that were already showing signs of life in last season and taken them up a notch. I can't wait to watch those 2.
Yeah, I'm really excited about this. Saints, obviously, not the top dog right now, so to see them kind of competing against one another, we'll have to see how that turns out. But yeah, a little bit of a shakeup in North America, so certainly want to be tuned in to everything that's going to go down there. I mean, you even look at all the way down the board, Timeless at 8th. That's the team that made it all the way to the finals in spring stage. So I mean, what is happening in North America? It's tough to say, but either way, you definitely want to make sure you do not miss any of those matches.
Yeah, we've had, what is that, like back-to-back two of the most competitive seasons of North American contenders just casually being put together. I don't know, man.
Wild
The past 2 seasons have been fantastic for NA. Either way, like we said, don't miss it. Hit subscribe, hit follow the Twitter, do all the other stuff that I usually tell you to do, and you know what? In a couple hours, see you for that.
You like solving problems. Problems like how to stop that tracer from deleting your backline. I know just what you're thinking. Go bring a turret. But y'all can't solve all your problems by simply bringing an extra friend to the battlefield. For that, you need the Contenders Torbjorn skin. Solve your problems by connecting your Battle.net account to Twitch. After that, watching Overwatch Contenders Summer Series will contribute to your drops progress, letting you claim your Overwatch Contenders Torbjorn skin. Even your turret gets an upgrade. Warning, the Overwatch Contenders Torbjorn skin does not come with extra or upgraded turrets. Build instructions will not be provided. By picking Torbjorn, you waive a claim towards any destroyed turrets. No refunds, no exchanges, and no take-backsies.